Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Am I the jerk for telling my sister no when she asked to have my house despite knowing how many kids she has? After that, my fiance expects me to be his free babysitter. And after that, don't want to give me my bacon? That's fine. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get any bacon. You've taken this too far, Redder boy. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Am I the jerk for telling my sister no when she asked to have my house despite knowing how many kids she has? For some context, I, 29 female, have an older sister who's 34. About 5 years ago, our mom passed and her money was split between us, but the house was going to go to whoever had a kid first. I was 24 at the time of my mom's passing and clearly didn't plan to have kids anytime soon. So when my sister announced her pregnancy 1 year after mom's passing, I wasn't upset. I wasn't even sure I wanted the house in the first place since it wasn't my style. Eventually, I met my husband, 30 male, and we got our own house. My husband makes a lot of money, and the house he bought is almost 3 times the size of the house my mom had left behind. As of today, my sister has 4 kids and is currently pregnant with her 5th kid. I, on the other hand, just got pregnant with my first. My sister and her husband came over for dinner the other day. She brought up the fact that I was pregnant with my first kid and how she had already had 4 and was about to have her 5th. I questioned her because I wasn't sure where this was going, and then she said the following. I mean, you and Alexander, my husband, only want 2 kids. Why don't we switch houses? I could have this one and you could take mom's house. I would appreciate it. It would really help with space, and you would make me and your niece and nephews so happy. Bruh. I laughed out loud. The house mom had left behind was big, and it was more than enough space for a 5th kid. I know my sister wants my house because it's more modern looking than mom's. I replied by asking her if she was ill and if she felt okay. I was joking. I will admit it wasn't the best thing to say, but it was the first thing my brain could process to say. With that, she started screaming. She called me selfish and asked if I had no compassion for her. She went on and on about how I know her and her husband are struggling with money and that the old house just wasn't doing it for her. I yelled back and told her to get out of my house. With that, her and her family left. Her husband was glaring at me the whole time, and my husband couldn't do anything but laugh because he found the situation ridiculous. Since then, I've received texts from distant family members saying things such as, "Your sister never asks you for anything. Just do her one favor," and "Your mother didn't pass for you to treat your sister like an animal." All I did was tell her no, and everyone's acting like I'm evil. Their words have really made me rethink if I did the right thing. So tell me, am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She got a free house and she's still complaining? If she feels that there isn't enough space, then she should stop having kids. Seriously, if it's been 5 years since OP's mom passed and sister announced her first pregnancy in the following year, then she's been pregnant every single year for the past 4 years. That's crazy. In a way, I feel bad for her. The toll that must take on her physical and mental health must be immense, and hopefully this behavior is just her crashing. But I kind of don't think that's the situation here, and either way, she is the one choosing to add more to her plate. Birth control is an option. The mother's will taught OP's sister to associate deserving things with having babies. She's literally trained to think she's earning free houses by having more babies and that she deserves more house than her sister because she's having more babies faster. Well, what do you think? Should OP give her house to her sister or not? Please let us know. Some of these stories literally make me lose my mind. I have nothing else to say. My fiance expects me to be his free babysitter. I'm 28 female and my fiance is 29 male. He has full custody of his 2 daughters and 1 son from his previous relationship. I've been with him for 5 years. His oldest is 10. When the world crashed and burned, the kids were put into remote learning. Because I was the one with a smaller income, I ended up having to stay home with the kids while he continued working. This year, the school decided to stay remote, so I am still home. I worked remotely for a little while, but soon was terminated due to the noise the kids made and not having a space away from the chaos. We've not had a break in over 2 years. No one offers to help with the kids. We never have date nights, nothing. The kids are always here. Their mother is a deadbeat. She took them for 4 hours the other day, despite having agreed to have them for 3 nights. The kids now hate her. We do too. Anyways, We got invited out tonight and I'm itching to get out of the house. Our buddy is having a small get-together at his place, 5 people including us. We found out a week ago. Since this point, I have asked my fiance to find a sitter multiple times. I have searched as well. I've asked my mom and my gram, both of which cannot. So I told him to ask his mother. He has given every single excuse not to. I need to get out of the house. After all, I'm the one who is constantly home with the kids and I need a break. I need adult time, period. So I told him either he finds a sitter or he can stay home with the kids while I go out. In which case, he says that I'm taking things too far and that I'm acting like it's the end of the world. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. You need to rethink this whole relationship. You are a convenience to him, literally an unpaid worker. You should never ever stop working to support someone else's kids when there's no discussion of the relationship becoming permanent. Edit. I do see where OP said fiance now, my mistake. However, what I'm trying to convey is that OP is getting boxed into a situation where she will be 100% dependent on her fiance and caring for kids that can be taken away at a moment's notice until she is legally tied to them. I'm not saying her fiance isn't a great guy, but he could end this relationship tomorrow or tonight, and OP would be left with no job, likely no savings, a gap in her job history, and a broken heart when kids she's grown to love are suddenly not there anymore. He still gets adult time through work, and I'm pretty sure he gets other extra time like going out for some drinks with colleagues because he needs to go to build team morale or any other excuse like this. What does a regular afternoon look like after he gets home from work? How many times has he taken the kids for the entire day to give OP a day to just be herself and not be such a caretaker nor do chores? I'm guessing not even once every 2 months, probably so much less. OP has been an unpaid nanny/teacher for over 2 years, lost her job due to taking care of his kids, and is now taking things too far by asking for the smallest of favors. I would run so far and so fast. Yes, I would leave him so quickly. He's literally using every excuse in the book to prevent OP from going out and getting some adult time. She's working tirelessly as a stay-at-home parent to support someone else's kids with no breaks over 2 years. She literally has to stop her job to stay at home looking after his kids, and he can't babysit, or more correctly, parent, for one night? This is not okay. OP, he's being less of a parent to his own kids than you. And no date nights in 2 years? What are you doing in this relationship? He wants you as a maid, not a partner. OP isn't acting like the end of the world. He's lost the right to say that after he refused to parent his own kids. 2 years without snapping requires incredible resilience. But unless you guys can work this imbalance out, it's time to go. Don't want to give me my bacon? That's fine. This happened to me about a year ago during the peak of lockdown, and I thought I would share it. There were several restaurants that were struggling last year, some near the peak of lockdown. Several shut down completely, and others fired all of their staff just to try to stay afloat. Around this time, my wife and I made it into a habit to order takeout from our favorite establishments. We always tipped the standard 20+%, despite these always being takeout orders. One restaurant in particular forgot to include the bacon that was supposed to come with our order. The order was around $20, with a tip of around $5, so around $25 total. When you picked your order up from this restaurant, you had to park and come inside. There was no drive-thru or curbside pickup. On this particular day, I picked up our order as usual and drove home, about a 5-minute drive. We immediately discovered that the bacon we had ordered was missing, so I called the restaurant. I expected to call and simply have them refund the $3 cost of the bacon. Simple enough, right? Wrong. This restaurant only had one person working the front, so when you called, you knew exactly who you were speaking with. When I called and stated that they must have forgotten to include the bacon, before I had a chance to ask for any type of resolution, refund, replacement, etc., this person informed me that there was a large sign in the restaurant instructing customers to check their orders for accuracy before leaving the store. As it turns out, the sign they mentioned was there. The instructions for checking your order was one of about 5 notes hastily written on a piece of printer paper taped to a wall. It was out of the way, not obvious, and sloppily handwritten. However, I had failed to read this note, and I had failed to check my order for accuracy before leaving the store. I admitted this and asked them to either refund the $3 or I could pick up the missing bacon. Definitely not a preferred option, but whatever. The restaurant refused these requests, told me the missing bacon was my fault, and went as far as to question whether the bacon had actually been forgotten, stating that they remembered packing my order. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. They had basically accused me of lying about $3 worth of bacon that was missing from an order. This conversation had escalated quickly in the span of about 30 seconds, and I was upset. I informed this person that they had failed to provide what I had ordered and that I would be forced to seek compensation, all $3 worth. I asked how they preferred I go about seeking this compensation, hoping that they would succumb and just give me a $3 refund. However, to no one's surprise but my own, the restaurant told me to go ahead and file a chargeback because they had video proof and that I would lose that chargeback case. So I did exactly that. I called up my credit card company and filed a chargeback. This chargeback was for $3 on a $25 charge, only $3, not the full charge. The agent with my credit card company offered to simply refund the $3 several times, but I kept insisting that it was the principle of it at this point, so I proceeded with the chargeback. There is paperwork that you have to fill out if a merchant contests a chargeback. About 3 months after initiating the chargeback, I get paperwork in the mail that instructs me to provide all of the proof I have. I provided no proof other than a recollection of what the merchant had stated, including them stating that they had video evidence of the bacon going into my order. I felt like I had already won at this point. It was costing them time and energy, and I was happy to fight the fight, all for the sake of $3. A couple of months after I submitted this follow-up paperwork, I get a letter from the credit card company stating that they had decided in my favor and that the merchant was forced to credit me the $3, a big win for humanity. What many people don't know is that a chargeback costs the merchant, especially small merchants, and this cost can easily be upwards of $100, despite the chargeback being for only $3. Additionally, if a merchant has enough chargebacks, a card processor may increase the merchant's rates or discontinue a contract entirely. Basically, any chargeback a small merchant has on their record is bad. So in all, the restaurant instructed me to file a chargeback. I wasted a ton of their time, ended up costing them in the neighborhood of $100 for the chargeback fee and won the $3 that they should have just credited me in the first place. Edited to clarify a few things. 1. The person in question was not a teenager. Not sure where everyone got that from. They were middle-aged, late 40s, and appeared to be the manager. 2. No, I will not be naming the restaurant. They're still in business. I still go there, and I have not seen this person or manager since this incident. I have no idea whether they quit or were fired or are now a Reddit troll, but I know they no longer work there. What a strange hill for them to die on. The phone call alone probably made them lose money from how much time they spent on it. It was likely the employee themselves being crappy and didn't want to make things right. Any normal food worker would have just gone, "Oh, sorry, here's a side of bacon." The manager probably didn't even know about it unless they're the one on the phone. Am I the jerk for leaving my roommate's dog at the shelter? I, 26 female, used to room with a girl who we'll call Jade. Jade decided to get a dog when we were living together. The dog was fine. I didn't really pay much attention to it. Jade got sick and had to go back to her parents' house. She said it would only be for a couple weeks, so I agreed to watch her dog. That was in July. It had been a month, so longer than she told me to expect, so I sent her a message asking when she wanted her dog back. She didn't answer, and when I tried to contact her again a few weeks later, she had me blocked. I tried multiple ways of messaging her, but got no response. The apartment was in my name only at that point. I reached out to her parents as well, but also got no answer. I messaged Jade again and said that I was moving out of the apartment and wouldn't bring her dog, so if she wanted him back, she would need to pick him up within a reasonable time. That was in October. I got no response, so I left him at the shelter. He got adopted fairly quickly because he was a more expensive breed and had no behavioral issues, only a few medical problems. A few days ago, Jade messaged me. She asked if I wanted to room again. I told her I had my own house now, so that would be a no. She asked when she could come get her dog, and I told her I had given him up after not getting a response for months. She blew up at me. She said I couldn't leave her dog at a shelter and that I was being inconsiderate, and she had to leave for medical reasons and didn't want to but couldn't bring her dog. I told her that if she had answered, I would have kept the dog, but I didn't want to keep having to pay for a dog that wasn't mine, and I had no way of talking to the owner. She called me a hypocrite because I got a dog after giving hers up. Jade is still very upset with me and was complaining about me on social media. I didn't think I was a jerk at the time because I did warn her and try to reach out to her in multiple ways, but now I feel bad and think I may be wrong here. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. She blocked you. Can't complain. Yup. Not to mention, OP did more than enough by trying to contact the dog's owner in multiple ways, and even tried to contact the parents. Jade had ample warning/opportunity to come get her dog, or have someone else come pick up the dog due to her illness. Sounds like OP just wanted some sort of communication that was never given. Not the jerk. Even if OP got their own dog after giving the other dog away. You can't abandon your dog for months and expect to have it when you're ready. Even if she had medical issues, she should have been checking in on her dog, giving money for food, etc. That's what you do when you care about your animals. Just ghosting someone because you don't want to deal with it means you forfeit your rights. Am I the jerk for only paying for myself when my fiance and future in-laws invited me to a New Year's Eve dinner at a scale restaurant? I, female 32, just got engaged to my fiance, male 37, Sam. We do not live together because we're waiting till marriage, given he and his family are highly conservative Christians, but they're really nice and lovable people. I had plans to spend New Year's Eve with Sam, but he said he was out for New Year's Eve dinner celebrations with his parents, then called me again, inviting me to join them, and I happily did. His parents were there. They welcomed me and ordered many dishes and desserts and drinks. We celebrated and had a great time, that is, until it was time to pay. I pulled my wallet out of my bag, letting them know that we'll split the check between us. Sam mumbled, "No, you don't have to. We invited you." But I insisted. He and his parents then stared at me. I asked what was wrong, and both mother-in-law and father-in-law said they didn't have money on them. I was shocked. I turned to Sam, and he said he too forgot his wallet at home and didn't bring enough money to cover even one round of drinks. His dad then laughed nervously. "All right, so guess we should let the doctor pay." I was taken aback. I said I'm sorry, but no, this is just so much money to spend on one dinner by myself, and I didn't think I was expected to pay the entire bill. Sam said I should pay, and he'd pay me back later, but I said no, since I know he will have to get a job to pay that much money. Wait, so you're a 32-year-old doctor, and you're about to marry a 37-year-old guy who doesn't even have a job? Bruh. I said I'm sorry, but this isn't the first time I've been put in this situation by him and his family, where I'm expected to rescue them after they somehow forgot their wallets and expect me to pay hundreds for their extravagant dinner. I told them I'll only pay for what I had, and that's it. He and his parents were shocked. They started arguing about how I have the potential to pay right then and there, but I was acting as if they were strangers and not family. But that doesn't mean I'm obligated to pay. How could someone go out to a fancy restaurant, order so many dishes, desserts, and drinks without bringing money? Sam begged that I just do it and call it a night, but I refused. The argument got heated, then I got up and walked out. Sam called later at 2 a.m., basically yelling that I ruined New Year's Eve celebration and made his parents suffer because I refused to pay the entire bill, and instead acted selfishly and paid only for myself after they were gracious enough to invite me. I told him how unfair it was for me to pay. Even if I had a good salary, doesn't mean I want to spend it all on fancy dinner. He didn't reply. He just said he'll pray that his parents let this go and don't resent me after I basically damaged the relationship with them. I felt awful thinking I should have covered the bill instead of leaving. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. They all conveniently left their wallets at home. It doesn't seem likely they forgot them at all, and they invited you with the expectation that you'll pay. You should rethink marrying this guy. He expected you to pay for an expensive meal without your knowledge, and you've been put in this situation before by him. It seems he's using you for money, and that's extended to his family. They ruined their own New Year's Eve by trying to force someone else to pay for a meal they cannot afford. OP. Absolutely. And father-in-law's comment about letting the doctor pay was the biggest tell for me, though this wasn't the first time I was put in this situation. Why doesn't your partner have a job? Not the jerk. Why are you marrying this guy? You are being taken advantage of. 100% don't marry this guy. He doesn't have a job. It doesn't seem like a stay-at-home parent arrangement is in place, so he's essentially leeching off OP. Intentionally, it seems. They weren't gracious enough to invite you. If you invite someone out to dinner, you pay. The invite is nothing more than a calculated attempt to get a free meal out of OP. The fact that fiancé didn't stand up for OP and even supported their comments raises a lot of flags. This is not the first time they've tried to take advantage of OP financially. It seems like Sam is also in on it with his parents, because no one leaves their wallets home that conveniently. OP, you need to seriously rethink the marriage and this relationship in general. His parents are not nice and lovable to you. They're nice to your wallet. And your future husband, hopefully not for long, are the same. You're in it for the marriage, he's in it for the money. Neighbor wants free Wi-Fi. My mother lived in a retirement community, small houses very close together. The gentleman who lived next door passed and left the house to his son who moved in with his wife, both about age 35. Even though this was a violation of the rules, at least one member of the household has to be over 55. No one really cared since the guy said he was just staying there for a few weeks until his new house was ready. Almost a year later, he was still there. Meanwhile, Mom got her first PC, and the only option for broadband was DSL from the local telephone company. I think the speed was 2 megabytes and cost about $25 a month. When the telco installed the modem and router combo, the tech enabled the Wi-Fi and never set up any security. One day Mom called me because her internet speed was really slow. I stopped by and found another PC was connected to the Wi-Fi. After verifying that she had no idea what this other PC was and had certainly not given anyone permission to use her connection, I disabled it. I also changed the router login credentials from the factory default. About 20 minutes later, her neighbor knocked on the door asking if everything was okay with her internet. Yep, all good. I said that if he was having problems with his service, he should call the telco. He said that he doesn't have his own service. Since he's only living there temporarily, it didn't make sense to pay for his own service when he could just borrow Mom's Wi-Fi. But now he can't connect. Perhaps something was blocking the antenna. He wanted to come in and take a look. I politely explained that the antenna is fine. He can't connect to her Wi-Fi because I disabled it. He got very upset and demanded I enable it. I suggested he call the telco and get his own service. He said it would take several days for the telco to get set up, and what was he supposed to do until then? I suggested he use the free internet at the public library, but I was not going to enable her Wi-Fi. If he had been nice and said he would call the telco and get his own service, and maybe offered to split the cost, I would have enabled the Wi-Fi until his was set up. But since he was such a jerk, I just shut the door. Edit. I should have been more clear. This happened a few years ago. My mother didn't want to start a battle with her neighbor. The other residents complained that if this guy was allowed to live there, why couldn't their grandkids stay for the summer? The HOA got a court order to make him vacate the property. He tried to fight it, but lost. He was told he could retain ownership and rent it out, leave it empty, and still pay the monthly maintenance fee or sell it. He sold it and moved. Am I the jerk for refusing to give my sister-in-law money she claims I owe her? My brother and sister-in-law got married 3 years ago in a ceremony that was attended only by parents on both sides. Their intent was to do that and have a large reception later on for the rest of the family. 6 months after the wedding, they sent us out to save the dates, and my sister-in-law called and asked if I would want to be a bridesmaid. Sister-in-law put me in a group chat with the rest of the wedding party and sent links for the dress, shoes, makeup, and accessories. The cost of this alone was $1,200 and did not include any tailoring that needed to be done to the dress. We were also going to need to pay $70 to get our nails done with the nail polish, as well as an additional $150 for professional hair and makeup the day of the wedding. Then we had to pay for my son's tuxedo and shoes, which was $160. The maid of honor, which is her sister, added me to a different group chat to discuss the bachelorette and bridal shower. The cost for each of these per bridesmaid was going to be $750 a person. There were 7 of us. Unfortunately, during this time, our boiler/furnace died, and the upstairs bathtub cracked and leaked through the ceiling in the basement, and we had to replace a chimney flute to the tune of $16,000. I texted the maid of honor and let her know what happened and told her that I would not be able to give her the money for this, as we had just spent so much repairing the house. She immediately went to my brother and told him that I was refusing to pay her. I explained what happened to my brother, and he told me not to worry about it. He would talk to her. I thought everything was okay. The reception party and little ceremony were nice. I talked to my brother the week after this, and right off the bat, he asked about the money I owed to her. I told him that I did not have that kind of money right now, and reminded him that he said not to worry about it. He then said that we need to pay our share of the parties, which I did not even go to, by the way. And I again said that I did not have that much money to give out right now. My sister-in-law then said that I could make payments, and I told her that wasn't happening. Now, every family event that we attend, my sister-in-law makes snide comments and remarks about us being deadbeats and refusing to pay our debts. And while I now have the money and could give it to her, I'm refusing to give it to her. Am I the jerk for not giving her the money? Edit. Since I guess I was unclear, I paid for the dress, shoes, makeup, nail polish, jewelry, hair accessories, and hair and makeup, as well as the manicure and pedicure as soon as I agreed to be bridesmaid. I did not find out about the extra $750 for the bachelorette and bridal shower until after I paid for everything else and after my house fell apart. You need to buy her the full DVD set of Bridezillas as a gift for New Year's and give it to her in front of the entire family. Problem solved, not the jerk. Not the jerk. If you gave them enough warning and didn't even attend the party, why are they expecting you to pay for it? What was at this party that even cost that much on top of everything else? 7 times 750 equals $5,250. Not the jerk. You didn't go to the parties and you didn't agree to pay it, so you don't owe them anything. Next time she calls you a deadbeat, call her a mooch for trying to get people to pay for parties they didn't attend. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or sister-in-law? Please let us know.
Extravagant weddings, rehearsals, recitals, bridal showers, parties, bachelorette stuff. Why do people insist on spending money that they don't even have?
Karen, welcome to America. Am I the jerk for kicking out my girlfriend on New Year's Eve? We can all agree that 2020 was a bad year, particularly for my 29 male family. We lost our dad beginning of the year after he had a heart attack, and my little brother, 12, had no one to take care of him. Our mom passed when he was 3, so our dad was all we had left. I fought for custody and was appointed his legal guardian. Honestly, it hasn't been easy. We're still adjusting to these life changes, and my brother is taking it the hardest. For months, he was just not himself. Bad attitude, lashing out. I got him in therapy because I knew he was just hurting, plus stress of lockdown. His behavior has improved so much since then, even if sometimes there's days where he's withdrawn. Days before Christmas, he was feeling sad since it was our first holiday without Dad. That day, he asked to be left alone. We had a talk to discuss his feelings, and I gave him the space after that. My girlfriend was over that day, and I went out to buy groceries. When I got back, my brother was out of his room and helping out. I didn't think anything of it at the time. Yesterday, my brother and I were out having some guy time before going back home to get ready for New Year's Eve. My brother opened up about how grateful he is for everything, and he hopes that I don't change my mind about taking care of him. I asked why he'd think that, and he told me what happened. That day when I was out, my girlfriend went to his room to tell him he needs to change his attitude and stop moping, her exact words, because he should be grateful I'm taking care of him at all, and that we can still hand him over to the state if we wanted to. I was furious about this and had to reassure him that was never going to happen because he really was worried about it. We went home, I confronted my girlfriend, and she didn't deny it. She told me it's true, and there was nothing wrong with telling him to stop acting like that when he should be grateful I gave up my life to take care of him. And the thing about giving him up isn't that big of a deal to her because it's not like I'll actually do it. I said she still scared him with that threat and told her to leave my apartment because honestly, I was far too mad and because I didn't want her to be near him right now. She started crying. There was more fighting, but she left in the end. It was just me and my brother for New Year's. Since last night, I've been bombarded with calls from all our friends for kicking her out, knowing she has no family and nobody else to spend the holiday with. Everyone has sided with her, and even my best friend says I may have overreacted by making her leave when she probably thought she was helping. They've heard my side of the story, but still think I was the jerk for making her cry and spending the new year alone. I'm having trouble seeing how I could be, so here I am looking for internet strangers to weigh in on this. Update. Okay, wow, this has gotten a ton of feedback. Thanks everyone for your kind and encouraging words. I might not have replied to a lot of the comments that made me smile, but just know that I read and appreciate them. I know I only posted this a few hours ago, but I've had a day to clear my head and really think about this. I talked to my brother because I wanted to know if she said anything else to him. Thankfully she hasn't, and we had another serious chat to remind him everything she told him is completely false. I would never in a million years give him up, and that shouldn't have been put in his head. Another thing I told him was that I'm grateful he's here with me. Without him, I wouldn't have made it through the year, and I thanked him for giving me the strength to keep going. Someone who DM'd me suggested reassuring him that he's not somehow ruining my life in case he feels any guilt for what she told him. Thank you for that suggestion. Now, I know you are all waiting on this news. Yes, I did break up with her. Thinking about what a lot of you said, talking to my brother about how this made him feel, and my own thoughts about how badly she acted, I decided that's not someone I want to be around me or him. I can't risk her doing something like this again, and ruining any progress he makes in therapy. I know many of you think I should have done it on the spot, but I wanted to make this decision with a clear head and not when my emotions were extremely high. She came by my place earlier and we talked outside. Her reaction was as bad as you'd expect, and she still believed she did nothing wrong, even after I explained it all to her. There was just no making her understand, and I told her it was over. I gave her a couple of her things that were lying around my apartment, and she left. My phone started going off like an hour later, so I had to put it on Do Not Disturb. That's all the drama I could handle for one night. I'll deal with my friends some other time. Honestly, I'm exhausted, mentally and emotionally drained right now. I think this weekend we'll do something to get our minds off this. I definitely need it after everything, and I know my brother does too. It's been a hard year already without all this extra drama. Anyways, sorry for the long update, you guys, but I didn't want to leave anyone hanging. I'm sure more comments will keep coming. I probably won't be sleeping much tonight, so I'll keep my mind busy by reading and replying to more of you. Thanks again for the support. What a crappy way to start the new year, but here's hoping for better things.
Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video.
Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.